Alright, and going to be bringing it back once again for week 6. We have a few games left to be played out today. And the next one on the agenda is going to be Rascal Jester versus Crest Gaming Act. Rascal Jester unfortunately did drop their game versus V3 Esports. Was sort of an expected loss, so one that hopefully Rascal Jester were mentally prepared for before their game against CGA, which also is going to be a rough one. We can't exactly sugarcoat this one for the Jesters, but for Crest Gaming Act, this is a decent week for them to help pad their playoff position against Sengoku. Sengoku dropping that game earlier versus Hawks Gaming meant as much for Hawks Gaming's chances of making playoffs as it does for CGA pulling themselves ahead of Sengoku and safely securing second place after Sengoku had a couple uncharacteristic losses between today and yesterday. So CGA going to be needing to secure this win safely if they want to keep their playoff spots alive. And unfortunately, this will mean that I do believe Rascal Jester is out of playoff contention. This game will definitely be where they fall out of playoff contention, as I don't think they can make playoffs unless... The best I think they can hope for is a tie, if I'm doing the math correctly, which in between this game and the next game, I will try to remember to do the math for you guys and get that all up to date. But let's talk about the match at hand and what this means for Rascal Jester. Okay, so let's talk a little bit first about what happened to them in the last game, and a little bit of priority over onto the Bear, as it's kind of not really netted them a lot of value, as well as Rascal Jester, when they're forced to dig deep on the AD pool, I don't think Jin is a champion that they're necessarily comfortable on. And it could have also been that you don't want to run Jin into an early game focused comp. That can also start to be a little bit of a... or that can be a little bit of a detrimental position to be in, and understandable there, but the Varus realistically was just never getting off the ground and really struggled throughout the majority of that game. So hopefully Rascal Jester, now that they are on the blue side, are going to be having a little bit of an easier time securing an AD that they like, and hopefully being able to build a comp off the back of whatever first pick they end up with. So we run through player introductions once more. Just going to quickly pass these through. It is week 6, so you should be recognizing the teams by now if you have been following along the whole way. If you have not, do appreciate you all stopping in all the same. It's always lovely to have fresh faces to the LJL stream, as we had about 22k viewers yesterday, and I think about 20k today. So the LJL as a region still doing strong, and always good to see when you're talking about the growth of a region like this. And speaking of that growth, I think this split in general has been a lot of growth for a lot of these teams, with V3 and CGA both showing up in such a convincing and dominating form, while DFM, the previous champions, the expected victors falling down. I'm very excited that V3, CGA, and up until most recently Sengoku have been really rising to take their spot. Now, that isn't to say that CGA don't have their own uncharacteristic loss to Burning Core earlier on in the split. They did go down to them early on in the split, as CGA kind of have a record of just dropping games to Burning Core. Burning Core kind of have their number in that regard, and with that, that is sort of a potential benefit that Burning Core themselves will be able to rely on, as I do believe tomorrow they are going to be playing against CGA, or excuse me, not tomorrow, next week. Not tomorrow. Believe it or not, we're not doing another 8 games tomorrow. I don't think my voice would be able to hold up for that one, but... Or they are not. They've already played twice. I believe they are 1-1, but all of that being said, we're going to get right into picks and bans here. Opposite ends of the win rate spectrum, but an important match for Rascal Jester all the same. This is really their last chance to make a playoff run, but it's a big ask of them to do. So, playing into CGA, you can see they're really trying to pick on Pink here as the weak link of Rascal Jester. 2 support bans, the 2 champions that he's had even the most amount of success on. Well, Rascal Jester going to be banning away LeBlanc and Twisted Fate from the side of CGA. Felios also going to be taken off the table. Rascal Jester with their last pickup, or ban away rather. Wouldn't be surprised to see an Ash ban coming out, but Set also still on the table. Yeah, going to be taken away there. Remove that flex option. And CGA likely will be putting up the B1 Ash, but no, the B1 Bear. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. I feel a little bit like a disappointed father when I'm looking at the B1 Bear being picked up by CGA while you're passing over anything that Rascal Jester would choose. But then again, I suppose if they're going to R1 or Renekton, both of them kind of know they can play whatever they damn well please. As CGA are fairly secure in this game. I really would not have liked to see the Bear. This Bear has I believe, might have just pushed him to a sub 20% win rate with that last game. Or at least 20 flat, as it was a 23 before his most recent loss. But Rascal Jester also going to pass over on the Ash Bard, which has been so popular in the LJL, but CGA can easily just draft that up now, as there's the Ash, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Bard immediately following it. And there it is, Rascal Jester. At this point, are probably just saying that they want to play whatever they want to play. Their playoff chances are looking grim, and you might as well go out having a little bit of fun. So, wouldn't be surprised if we saw Rascal Jester giving Pink his Katarina once again, but we'll see if they're going to be following through on that one. Elise is also an option, and going to be taking that one up. A little bit less mechanically intensive than a Nidalee, but does kind of a similar job. Postures herself in the early game very similar, so not a bad pickup if you are Rascal Jester. And they have a couple bans to be thinking of in the meantime. The unfortunate part is that in the last game, you were forcing Art onto Varus due to the amount of AD bans that were thrown Rascal Jester's way. And it did not look like a very successful pickup. Kalista is still open in case Art wanted to be the one playing Kalista this time around. But playing Kalista into an Ash Bard is a little bit harder, as they're going to ban away Varus, maybe looking to set up exactly that. As we said before, Ash Bard, just a great neutralizer of so many lanes. But with this many mid lane bans coming out from Rascal Jester, I think they are going to be going for the Katarina. AD pickup here on the R4 would be expected. Would be Kalista if meta is to serve anything of knowledge, but they can kind of forego that if they want to look for different picks. Would match the power spike timings of a lot of their other champions, but Kalista hasn't received her 10.15 buffs yet, but is a capable AD in her own right. Of the traditional crit AD carries, I definitely feel as though Caitlyn postures herself the best, and both teams kind of knew that they had won out on the pick setup. Kalista is just such an unviable option for Rascal Jester to play into an Ash Bard. So they're not going to opt to pick that one there, as they're going to grab themselves up a Caitlyn, while CGA going to lock themselves in the Ornn for the top lane. That's one last pick. They're going to be blind picking a mid laner here. Although you could expect it to be a Katarina and a Kali, as Arya is looking to have a little bit of fun in the mid lane here. Not a bad. It's a little bit difficult to make an Akali work. Akali has really struggled in the summer split in general, just across every region. Akali is just one of those champions that requires so much to be going right, and so much of the scenario to be working in your favor. But Kayle is going to be locked in here by Rascal Jester, so they do have that late game assurance at the very least. But it looks like the comps are set for both sides, as the Kayle will be going up to the top side against the Ornn, and Renekton will be fighting it out with Akali in the mid lane. So when I'm looking at the drafts, I think I still have to hand this one over to CGA. I think Ashe Bard is, or a lot of teams have not quite figured out how to play into Ashe Bard just yet. CGA doesn't have the most amount of damage on their comp, and if things drag on a little bit too long, Rascal Jester does have that Kayle, but I think CGA are just, right now, definitely the better of the two teams, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them find success here as well. The nice thing is that the range that Caitlyn offers in a siege setup is fairly nice, and Kayle is a decent champion to have sort of that counter engage with the ultimate to hopefully deter a bit of that, or possibly keep Hachimecha safe if he ends up landing a cocoon and wants to follow up on that one. Although I do think it was sort of a last-minute pivot for Rascal Jester to send Pink in on the Renekton once saw the Akali, so I'm hoping that Pink will be able to kind of shine in this one, as you did have the counter pick. This is something that you set up for yourself, unless it was a sacrifice made for Cog, but this is a hard ask to be absolutely certain, and Rascal Jester's goal difference is, I mean, we saw it yesterday. There's no sense in trying to hide it anymore. Rascal Jester have really been struggling this split. With only so many games left to play, there isn't a whole lot of time to figure it out. It's really do or die now more than ever, as if they win that's the only way that their playoff chances are alive in favor of a tie, although I don't think they would be. I will get that pulled up for you guys in the meantime. That being said, I'm gonna have to hand this one over to CGA. Comp or no, I just think that CGA has been proving themselves a far and away dominant team, and the only way that Rascal Jester would be able to find their playoff spot is if they won their next 3 games and Detonation Focus Me were to lose all of theirs. Now, Detonation Focus Me losing a couple games is not too far out the window, but DFM do have a fairly safe matchup for today against Axis Gaming, and some harder matchups will be playing against Rascal Jester tomorrow. So at the very worst, you're going to have that tiebreaker match tomorrow, but Rascal Jester will absolutely need this win if they even want it to come to that. So we'll see how things go for them. I don't feel too comfortable calling a match before it has even begun, but it has just been such a struggle for Rascal Jester in general for this split. It's been a tale of a tale of Pink really trying to strut his stuff, and I do think that out of all of the rookies, I feel like he definitely got picked on the most. In general, I think as a mid laner in pro play, mid lane is one of the hardest and most dependent roles. I think jungle and mid lane have a lot of influence on pro play right now, given the state of the game, but mid laners just being as strong as they are, it's going to be a huge ask of Pink so far this split.
Brought to you by the LJL official drink partner. Game on.
LJL 2020サマースプリットウィーク6ゲーム6ラスカルジェスター vs クレストゲーミングアクトスタートです。
As we get things started up here, runes are about what you would expect, pretty much top to bottom. That said, I do think this is just going to be one of those games that is going to kind of blow up early. If Rascal Jester can get out onto the map early and hopefully leverage this Elise's early potency, could spell well for their futures, while CGA are going to be wandering up here. They have a ward. It's going to get spotted out by Rascal Jester. The Spider's going to do a bit of scouting work for them. And CGA might be looking to take a level 1 fight here. Blue buff is going low, and CGA are really just wasting their time because Smite's going to be in the bush. Hachimecha is just going to secure that one there, and CGA even questioned pinging themselves for that kind of a play. That's going to set you a little bit behind the itsy bitsy Spider, but it looks like Hachimecha is going to be rotating all the way over to try and aggress onto Unica's side of things. I like this look from Hachimecha. Setting the bear behind early would definitely be a help for him and his team. He's going to be able to get the blue buff there, but it looks like Unica is going to be heading straight over for it. He wants a fast route to 3, knowing that he's behind, so no smite on Hachimecha. Or excuse me, yeah, no smite on Hachimecha means he will be just able to get that in time. Unica came over the wall, but was just not in smite range just yet, as Nap is going to try to harass him a little bit for doing just that. Knockup's going to be good, but no W for that Billow's Breath damage. So that's going to be a stun from the Bard onto Art there. Genga with the level 2 advantage is trying to kite them forward. Grenda's going to take a decent bit of that damage as he's not able to get the Guardian procced on the 2 of them, but that's going to be an extensive trade, and with the amount of sustain that CGA has in that Bard putting up those shrines, definitely helps him out a bit in that department. Well, they're looking to do everything they can to shove Rascal Jester under turret, and I don't think we'll be seeing any dives anytime soon, but definitely getting the better end of a couple early trades, and we're kind of flicking back and forth. There's a little bit of a fight on the other end of things, but Nagi's going to throw the dredge line, so we'll keep our attention here for now. Nagi might just die, as he threw a dredge line that was just his own undoing. Thinking about flashing forward for an auto. Ooh! Art with a little bit of fancy footwork there. It flashes forward with the E to get the headshot proc onto Gengo. What a nice play! Both of the carries going auto for auto, but Art with a little bit of fancy play. Doesn't get first blood, but I do like that kind of a look from Art. Helps turn that play around. We didn't get to see what the play on the top side of the map was, but it didn't seem to matter as no kills came on that side. Rascal Jester and CGA going 1 for 1 on the bottom end of things. And we'll watch this one more time. So Nagi throwing this hook was honestly just a little bit of a questionable decision. Sure, you have Aftershock, but that's an Ashe Bard. The amount of slows are just going to far outweigh that timer, but I love this play from Art. Going auto for auto, he flashes, E's, Gets the Q set up. That's the Caitlyn classic. That has been the combo in this game for years now, is the EQ combo. As well as getting the first hit of Q, like bonus damage before the reduction comes in. Nagi's gonna flash forward now. This is a summonerless Gango. And one that's gonna get knocked down rather quickly. Rascal Jester, good punish on the lack of summoners in that bot lane. Gonna start them on their ball rolling. They do have a pink ward onto that Drake, so Hachimecha will need to kite that one away a little bit, but his bot lane will be coming up soon to help secure that in time. And honestly, just a textbook punish from the side of Rascal Jester. You forced out the sums from their bot lane, and if they don't have the vision to protect themselves, or rather, are not respecting the flash engage from Nagi, well, that's gonna spell for a dead Ashe. As the Hawkshot's gonna spawn out Hachimecha. Grendel going for a bit of harass that he had no business going for, but we'll see if the fight afterwards is going to benefit CGA as they're waiting for the spider to come back down. That's gonna be huge for Unica. He did not get the bonus healing from Wing the same target, but Arya's gonna be going all in, picking up 2 kills and coming right back over. Arya zooming by that one while Pink had a huge wave in the mid lane and wasn't able to leave. Arya pokes his head in and says, "Hey guys, mind if I grab a couple of these kills for you? Don't mind me, I'll be out of your hair in an instant." And the Assassin's Way coming out from Arya there is he's gonna find a kill and get red buff to add a little bit of potency in this lane here. With only a Doran's Blade. What a good look from Arya there. What kind of was Grendel going a little bit too ham? As speaking of ham, he's going to be going on to Cog here. Good sidestep on the stun. The auto's going to give him a little bit of a slow. Will Nap be able to catch up in time? They might be able to force an ultimate, but it's a big ask. There's a full HP Kayle that can just walk back to his turret at his leisure. I will say, I do like that Grendel is looking for plays pretty much everywhere on the map. He's saying, I'll just roam around for a little bit of fun, as Bard definitely is one of those champions that just, it's fun to start walking around the map on. You're like, oh, a chime here, a gank here. Everything's always an adventure for Bard, with his E being known as Magical Voyage, and aptly named, as that's a lot of what the fun of playing Bard is in that aspect. Now, unfortunately for him, he's going to be at a little bit of a level disadvantage in this bot lane. Gango should be able to hit 6 off of this wave, and that could deter a dive threat, but Nagi's going to be the one to start this off. Aftershock will help him out there. That's the last turret shot he can take, as Grendel's going to get away. 1 for 1 so far, as Nagi did end up dying to the turret. Gango has ultimate. He's going to pop that one down onto Hachimecha. Beautiful sidestep on that cocoon, which would have meant death, but Art not going to throw down the ultimate. The ace in the hole not going to find Gango. Thinking he needs a little bit of extra damage there, but 1 for 1 overall, and the kill going over to Ashe. Not a bad deal for the side of CGA, while Arya's wandering down here. Art would love to get in range to get one more auto off, and then go for the ace in the hole, but we'll see if he's going to be able to get that. Gango might greed out. If Gango greeds out here for a turret, nah, well done. As a well-placed Hawkshot's going to spot out the attempt from Rascal Jester. Gango will stick around for the wave, but knows that he's not going to be in too much of a dive threat. And a little bit of a cheeky play, but I like the look from Rascal Jester. And CGA going to be wandering up to this mid lane as Nagi thinking about aggressing onto him. Akali is a very hard champion to lock down, even as a Nautilus, but a Nautilus without 6 is all the harder to try and pin down the mobile assassin, who, after picking up those first 2 kills, that's exactly the kind of steroid and little bit of bonus that you're looking for as Akali, because Akali definitely is one of those champions that needs to kind of get her ball rolling if she wants to be a threat to some of these squishier members. So having a 2-0 lead, getting towards that Gunblade power spike a little bit faster will definitely help out in that department. Now, Infernal Drake is going to be coming up here. It's going to be the second Drake, and Rascal Jester would love to have these early 2 Drakes, but the worry sort of becomes, is there an Ocean Soul or is there a Cloud Soul behind it? Cloud Soul does kind of benefit a little bit to Cog and to Pink on the Renekton, especially Pink with Renekton. Gets a little bit of extra move speed from that ultimate, which popping the Dominus, you're usually popping that while you're in the middle of a fight anyway, so it will help you stick onto the members you're looking for. But ultimately, just having the Kale R to send on one member allows you to use it defensively without feeling too punished if you have an extra 20% CDR in your back pocket. So Rascal Jester going to be wandering up for the Drake here, but CGA have a good position. That's going to be a Tempered Fate onto Nagi. Going to find one member. Hachimecha is going to go all in onto Arya. That's the most of his damage now. And without Arya going down from just that, Arya's going to go for a little bit more, but the ace in the hole is going to find him. Arya feeling a little bit hypey there, as Nagi did end up burning his flash to get away from that one. Arya, I understand what Arya was thinking, but it was a little bit ambitious to be going for that one, and Art was ready for that with the ace in the hole ultimate. But now will CGA be able to recontest onto this Drake? Nagi starting things up, but that's going to be a dead bear before he has the chance to even pop his ultimate. That arrow's going to go wide as well, and Gengo and Grendel are going to be forced to retreat here. Magical Voyage is up, and a good stun over onto the Elise will mean that Rascal Jester will find an extra member down. And right now, Rascal Jester are looking good for this game. Looking a little bit better than my voice was cracking during that play, but we'll watch it back one more time, this time with 100% less voice cracks. As Arya gets aggressed on, he goes down to half HP, and I just think this was Arya just feeling himself a little bit too hard, as there was no way this was going to go well if he only had maybe if he only had Hachimecha to deal with, but Pink coming down and Art having ace in the hole. That long-range ability working and paying dividends. And this was just sad for the Volibear, not able to use the ultimate to get that extra HP. And partially why this bear has a 23% win rate, or less, actually. I am not 100% sure. Stop picking the bear, CGA. As that bear has led them into a little bit of a gold disadvantage to the side of Rascal Jester. But the 2 Drakes are going to pay dividends in getting closer to that Ocean Soul for the later portions of this game, as well as Pink now being the one with a 2-0 shutdown on his name. CGA will just kind of need to weather the storm a little while, as they can keep looking for plays. I don't think that they're wrong in their looks. They just kind of need to make sure that everything is on the same page for them, as Gengo's going to be making his way down to try and re-catch this wave. Going to be losing a turret plate, but with no Rift Herald on RJ's side, they're not going to knock this one down just yet. But Hachimecha has been waiting in this bush for a little while now. Arya and Unica might be sniffing this one out. As you can see, rotation's already coming down. We'll see if that deters Hachimecha from going for this. So they don't know where he is now. He has decent positioning, but that's going to be the volley thrown out, not finding his way onto the Elise, and will allow him to walk away to safety. For Pink in the mid lane, he'll just be able to push in that wave, and not going to be missing any CS is Arya down there, but this is a long time spent down here, as Hachimecha is going for full meme value. After sending out one cocoon, lands his way onto Unica and will be retreating shortly thereafter. But Looks like both teams are wanting to handshake a fight over virtually nothing in this bot lane. I guess both bot lane turrets are fairly low, and you would love to crack open first turret, but meanwhile on the top side of things, Kokog already cresting into that level 11. Will keep Nap pushed in and under turret in large part there. Neither team wanting to rotate over for that Rift Herald just yet. CGA have vision control over it, so they don't need to be the first ones there anyway. But we'll see if they even end up going for it. It doesn't look like Rascal Jester are going to be making any time to contest for that Rift Herald. It's going to be safely secured for CGA. A little bit too much fog for their liking, but even with Hachimecha stealing so much XP from the bot lane of Rascal Jester, Unica is still 2 levels behind the Elise right now, about 20 camps down, and Kokog's going to be taking a red buff for himself in the top side. They're looking to get him up to carry status as soon as possible. And first turret going down to the bot lane of Rascal Jester. I mean, that Rascal Jester's in a fairly set up position for this one. About a 2,500 gold advantage. And we'll see where things are led from here. You could just see the amount of bot proximity coming out from Hachimecha. He's been really working at this bot lane. Rift Herald's going to be spawned up. That's going to be gold over to Nap for that turret in the top lane. Their first turret of the game, but first Ocean Drake of this game. It's going to be hot on the minds of both Rascal Jester and CGA. You don't really want to be letting them have soul points so easily. But are you ready to take a fight with them? Now that Kale is going to be showing up for this one, fresh off of a back as well, has Gunblade and a little bit of extra attack speed, making her way down. CGA are going to have to face check a little bit on their way in. Luckily, they will know if Rascal Jester start up the Drake, and Rascal Jester don't exactly know which way they'll be coming from. As Unica's sneaking up a bit here, a couple pings coming out. They do make their way into the bush, but the mid lane is going to be the target of Rascal Jester for now. CGA will start up the Drake, hoping to pull Rascal Jester away from the Drake, or excuse me, away from the mid lane, while Nap is doing his best to try and clear away that vision, re-establish dominance around that red buff. Drake going down to about about 1,000 HP, gonna be burned down. That's gonna be Utica picking that one up as Hachimecha is gonna get caught out there. The chase is on from CGA. The volleys are flying, and will they be able to knock down any more? No, the Kale Judgment will be helping out Pink in that regard. Arya thinking about going back in. He will, but not quite gonna finish off Pink. Heal from Kokog as well is going to get a lot of extra value there. Kokog flashing forward for a couple more autos. Grendel's going to get a good stun to hopefully buy his team some time as the dredge line's going to go wide. A beautiful sidestep will deter the re-engage from Rascal Jester as Kokog spent most of that fight untouched and almost found a re-engage opportunity, but CGA losing a mid lane turret for just... Ooh. A little bit close there, Arya. Would have been the second time he got popped by an ace in the hole, but trading 2 mid turrets for 1 Ocean Drake when it's your first Drake is not a good feeling for CGA. As Unica gets the Drake down there, Hachimecha loses his life, and realistically, this should have been CGA's time to take it back, as while Unica still has ultimate and still has the ability to fight with the extra HP, it's just so risky once you're diving a turret that he wasn't able to get close enough to deactivate. And then in the just ensuing chase, CGA, a little bit of fancy footwork there, and honestly, a big help from Ash Volleys as well slows up the members of Rascal Jester enough that they're not going to be able to pursue too heavily. And I have to say, when you're looking at this kind of a game for CGA, it gets really hard to... Well, hold on. Thought's gonna be held as Nagi's gonna be face-checking somebody he shouldn't. Pops a stone plate, will be able to help get out of that one there. Nap not gonna be able to knock back the Ram as he got CC'd up for a little bit. Took a healthy chunk of damage. CGA will retreat as trading pretty much equal amounts of HP between the support and the top laner, but what I was going to say is that CGA kind of... The ideal fight for CGA is going to return to the draft issues that we constantly talk about in the LJL, is there is nothing to support Arya going all in. He has way too many members to be worrying about, between Kale just brushing off a lot of damage, then you have Pink stuns, Hachimecha or Nagi peeling back. Any amount of CC really messes up Akali's day, but there's nobody diving with the Akali that can follow up. The bear is not fast enough. You have one leap with your ultimate, and if you're going to send it that far back, you're inviting the rest of the team to go forward, but Kogog might just be caught out alone here on the top side. Ultimate's going to help him stall out for now, while Pink and the rest of the cavalry are arriving. The Arya Execute gonna be pulling that one down. Thinking about taking that E in, as here goes the Crystal Arrow. Knock up from Nap. That should be a dead Crocodile. Not gonna be able to get away there. Grendel missed the Q, which might just mean that Pink gets away with his life unless Arya is able to get close enough to find a bit of value there. A beautiful sidestep, but nowhere he really has left to run. And CGA still with about a 2k gold disadvantage, but are evening up the gold count here. I will kind of say though, I think CGA, I think Akali specifically, just is a champion that struggles so much in pro play after just being so meta dominant for so long, and then just turning into a champion that requires so much to go right, and for such a level of execution barrier to ultimately, I don't want to say not accomplish a whole lot, but really, like, what is Akali doing in this game that you wouldn't have been able to accomplish with a couple other more meta picks? But Hachimecha should just be able to get out of that one. Yeah, repel over on to the blast cone there, and CGA, this is their Drake to take. This is sort of Rascal Jester now, with a little bit of lack of recognition, where now they need to take the fight. They have turrets in the top side they could have been taking, but they're going to have to go in and look for a fight. The Ocean Drake is already gone, so the incentive to fight is gone, as Nagi's going to be aggressed upon here. Stoneplate should be able to keep him safe only long enough for Arya to take that Shuriken back in. Arrow's going to find his way onto Kogog. That's a decent amount of time spent stunned. Nap with a double man knockup, going to be going down there. No ultimate from Kogog means 2 more members will fall. And CGA may have just chased down a fight win there. And a fight that Rascal Jester had no business even getting involved in. What detriment does it really cost you to just pass over one Ocean Drake when it'll even up 2-2 apiece, when they could have been top lane taking turrets? Hachimecha thinking about going over the wall for a steal here. Art can throw a Q over the wall to add a little bit of extra damage. That's going to be the far side going down, only with Baron at about half HP. So it looks like the Magical Voyage over the wall. They're going to make the call to go for a turn. Hachimecha is going up in the air. Not going to be able to come back down on the other side of the Baron, but here goes 5 members strong. CGA going to find Hachimecha there. Arya's going to go over onto Art there. The Shuriken Mizzling will buy him a bit of safety, but Gango is going to go down on the other end of things as Kog'Kog teleports in to finish off that one. Will he be able to go for more? There's a couple tanky members in between him and his destiny. The ultimate's going to go down, but not buy him enough time to save his life. As a good flash away from Unica's net there. Not going to be able to find the bear in a trap, but the crocodiles will find Grendel's flash. And a good recovery fight coming out of Rascal Jester when CGA go for a turn there. And we'll watch the fight around the Drake one more time. So, realistically, what does Rascal Jester have to gain for this? You lost the Drake, you don't need to be going in. Hachimecha's already zoned out to one side. And Hachimecha literally spent this entire fight not doing damage, while the rest of his team kind of just got run down without the threat of one of their members. It's a 4v5 for the most part of this game, as Art even as well. Full HP, full mana. His front line kind of just got dissolved in front of him, while the Baron play picks up immediately after. I like that CGA went for this, but they honestly could have just finished off the Baron if they really wanted to. While Hachimecha, a little bit too slippery on that spider, will force out the flash from Arya to really chase all the way through. And it almost feels like the rest of the team kind of forgot about Gango here. As Kaka came in off the teleport, he says, guys, hold on, there's still a top laner that was happy to just beat down on a lonely ADC, and Zakali went a little bit too deep, scrapping with Pink in the mid lane. He is still 8-2, so still a very strong Akali. Just one that will need to be possibly a little bit more careful, as the damage from Rascal Jester, especially with Kale, is starting to stack up. And that was sort of a fight where Rascal Jester did not even get to set up the ideal scenarios. Kog'Kog had no frontline to rely on. He was just going all in onto Gango and then was kind of hung out to dry. In the fight before it, Gango found a great crystal arrow onto Kog'Kog, and he spent more time CC'd than he was able to do damage. I hope that is something that CGA are taking into account when they're structuring their next few team fights, where you effectively did not deal with the overall threat that a Kale has to offer. And if Rascal Jester can set up the scenario in which Kale can really shine, that's going to be the potential they're looking for. But right now, Kog'Kog is off in the bot lane with no teleport available. He's only now going to be making his way up there, while the rest of CGA are just kind of posturing around the mid lane for now. No real need to take a fight. The Ocean Drake is going to be CGA's next objective, as well as Hachimecha, so just shoving in these lanes and trying to keep Rascal Jester under that mid lane turret as long as possible will buy enough space for CGA to start moving resources and vision down to that Ocean Drake objective. Rascal Jester are in a position where they're going to need to make a trade. Do they want to try and burn down the Baron in the meantime, or are they going to take a fight around this Ocean Drake? This is really going to be a make or break point of this game, and both teams know it. Hachimecha is going to back and get up his Zhonya's. He has a little bit of pen from the Oblivion Orb, double pen already on deck, but CGA with the Ocean Drake spawned, this should be theirs fairly free. And Rascal Jester are not going to put it all on the line just yet. CGA may just find themselves at a 4 Ocean Drake to Soul. Would be a very harrowing prospect for Rascal Jester, as it's just going to make the dive threat of even a solo Akali that much more potent when she's healing up so much in the meantime. As well as does make the bear a little bit more defensive. He did go for the Knight's Vow as well to help keep Ashe safe. Which only adds to my confusion about why do we have a bear here when this could easily just be a Sejuani. Like, is the bear belting out an amount of damage that is worth it? Is he tanky enough that's worth it? I don't quite understand the decision making behind CGA's hyper priority on this bear, but that will, of course, not be a difference. Well, potentially it's still a difference maker in this game. This game is rather close for CGA, as Rascal Jester could easily find one fight win that blows this game open. But so can be the same said for the side of CGA. As both teams are posturing around here. We'll see if Grendel's looking to let a Tempered Fate fly. Doesn't want to risk anything just yet, as Unica's just throwing out E's wherever he please. You're not going to be able to siege down this mid lane turret just yet. Art doing a great job of just posturing himself as an anti-siege machine, putting traps up at all corners that he can. And meanwhile, in the mid lane of things, just going to be bouncing waves back and forth while Cog heads off to the bot lane, fixes that lane state, but also crests into that level 16. That's the last of the upgrades, and with a Gwynsu's to boot, that is a strong Kale that will need to be considered by the members of CGA, as CGA is wandering up here. Do have decent vision control around this Baron, but they don't exactly have the manpower to burn down something like that just yet. Snap's gonna get spotted out by a pink ward, happily just gonna be able to knock that one down. Rascal Jester not really opting into any side lanes right now, which is a little bit interesting, but it's sort of... While Rascal Jester has two very potent solo laners and they can kind of run a 1-3-1, the engage range of a Tempered Fate and Crystal Arrow just flying across the map threatens that 1-3-1 very heavily, and they can't allocate enough vision resources to set Rascal Jester in a position that they feel comfortable in a 1-3-1, while also holding enough vision around the Baron objective. As Ocean Drake is going to start its clock and counting down to a potential soul for CGA, or to Rascal Jester reaching soul point will remain to be seen. As Rascal Jester going to clear away a bit of the vision around this Baron objective. Honestly, Rascal Jester could opt to take a trade for the Ocean Soul for a Baron if they feel comfortable sieging down once they've made that trade, but the call is going to be for Nagi to make the engage. That's going to be the Tempered Fate for a disengage. Unica's ultimate is also going to be popped there. The Tempered Fate not exactly needed in that scenario, but burning those two cooldowns is going to be helpful for Rascal Jester. They're going to retain most of their tools coming up for this Ocean Drake. 30 seconds on the clock, but Arya and the rest of CGA have great positioning, clearing out the last of those wars. There goes Call of the Forge God, as they're going to have a great time zoning them away. Arya's going to go golden and try and buy himself some time. Does he have the smoke plume? Not quite. As up in the air Hachimecha goes, he has nowhere really to run, but a flash will get him out of range, as Unica's going to go forward here onto Art. They still have a Cog that they need to be worrying about. That's a lot of damage coming through from him, but in the end, he's going to get burned down. Art has been untouched for the most part here, as they're going to be able to run down Nap. Don't think he has anywhere he can really run to. As Rascal Jester have just found their fight win, it's a little bit too difficult for CGA to get onto both Art and Cog at the same time. And the double carry setup is working wonders for Rascal Jester, as they're going to put themselves up to soul point. While Grendel is kind of hanging around here thinking about perhaps a miracle steal if he can find maybe a Q over the wall, but that was a little bit scary coming out from Hachimecha, as he did throw the smite a little bit early. I don't think that either of them know how close they are to each other while they're backing, but Caitlyn not going to see that UFO whizzing over her head, but we'll see how this fight broke out for CGA. And really, this was possibly a little bit of miscommunication on what ultimates were needed to use defensively there. And I like that CGA were posturing and they were holding on to their vision as hard as possible. The issue was sort of, you make the call to engage, you get the arrow on a key target, and Arya goes in. He gets detonated so quickly here. before he can get any real value, and then your threat to the backline of Kogkog and and Art is gone. Utica can try to flash forward, but this is not an Akali, this is a bear, as we might just be right back into a fight around this Baron objective. Posturing around, but not quite gonna get anything done just yet. And that's a 5-0-6 Art. Art has really been doing his best to try and keep this game alive. Kogkog no slouch either in that department. But Art from minute one has been fighting, and just by the skin of his teeth, he's found himself 5-0-6. A self-made Caitlyn trying to hold on to this game as long as possible. We'll see if Rascal Jester can hold on to it a little while longer. We'll likely be seeing this game stall out a little bit until we get to this Ocean Soul. It's 3 Drake Love to the sides of CGA and Rascal Jester respectively. While CGA gonna have the vision control, they're going to start up the Baron right away. Their waves are kind of in awful positions to be doing this, but they're going to see if they can get Rascal Jester to play desperately. That's just the name of the game, to pull them out of the shadows and see what they can get from it. That's going to be called the Forge God going in, going to knock up Nagi. The Tempered Fate's going to follow him up, but a good buffer from that Dredge line will pull him out to slight safety. Will they be able to burn him through the Stone Plate? They will not, as Arya's going to go fall. Just trying to burn down Nagi through Stone Plate. He just ends up a bit too close for comfort. That's going to be mid for support. And with the backline threat gone, Rascal Jester feel emboldened to try and push onto this mid lane turret. If they can siege down an inhibitor here, it would be huge for not only their chances at this Baron, but a chances at Soul as well. As Nap don't have exactly the teamfight tools necessary anymore. That's going to be an arrow flying in onto the member Art there. Judgment from the Kale is going to keep him alive for now, but will they be able to find anything else? Autos from the Bard are doing so much to slow so many members, and this might be the fight win that CGA are looking for, as Kogkog just does not feel comfortable staying this close. That's going to be Hachimecha losing his life, and will Grendel be able to find more flashes away, because he knows he can't stay in Art's face that long. Gengo has heal, but is just not going to be able to get in range of that for an extra volley, and he is leaving his team behind, saying, I'll run them down by myself if I have to. But a deterred inhibitor from the side of Rascal Jester means they won't have the pressure and have that lane push that they need for CGA to be preoccupied when it comes to these next few objectives. That being said, CGA were just kind of starting up a Baron when their waves were not in a good state, which is partially why Rascal Jester felt comfortable walking in there. They knew that CGA had waves to deal with in the bot and top lane, but CGA made the call to start that Baron before fixing those. Ornn upgrades coming in, but will it be enough? As it is all going to come down to this Ocean Soul. 30 seconds on the clock. While Rascal Jester are owning the mid to river entrance, you can see Nap in the bottom side of things trying to secure a path up to that rift here, or up to that dragon pit through the bot lane of things. Aggression onto the mid lane. Rascal Jester are trying to buy as much room as they can, while Hachimecha seeing if he can catch anyone in rotation. Rascal Jester gonna back away now. That's a lot of fog of war for CGA to be checking, but the call of the Forge God's gonna be the one that checks it for him, as an arrow's gonna fly in. Nagi's gonna be once again the first one to go down here. But what can CGA make of it? You've had Nagi dead before. That's an early ultimate popped by Kogkog. That's a huge tool that they're not going to have now. But this Caitlyn does hurt, and hurt is definitely what Unica's feeling there. He's going to take a lot of damage there, but that might just be Ocean Soul. Rascal Jester are a little bit indecisive. They need to be onto this Baron immediately if they're looking to trade this one over. They do clear a bit of the vision away. Will they be able to set a trap for CGA? The cocoon is out. That's going to be a dead bear very quickly on, as Arya is thinking about going in here. Does not have the ability from the E, but he's on to Art here. No ultimate to save him this time. That's going to be an execute over from Arya, as Pink's trying to do what he can to just stall the rest of the members of CGA. Going to be trading mid and jungle for mid lane and jungle on the both sides. Well, that's a good knock up onto Cogcog. Gonna go golden with the Zanyas. Will Gango be able to knock him down? That's the second ultimate cast from Cogcog, as he's gonna be healing up quite a bit from that, but not gonna be healing up enough. The Ocean Soul healing is going to be the difference maker, but a flash stretch line. The Ocean Soul is doing so much work for Cogcog, but not quite gonna save him in the end. But Art is just so fed. That's gonna be another Ram knockup, as they're just trying to knock down Art. He is doing everything he can. He has been deathless. He's holding on. He is fighting off two members. Neither team were really able to knock each other down, as the Ocean Soul keeps CGA alive, while Rascal Jester, Art is just gritting his teeth. He is saying, I can do this. I can break these cuffs. I can hold back CGA just a little while longer. What an insane moment from Art there. As we'll watch this one more time, as CGA have too much fog to be checking. Unica just gets absolutely obliterated trying to face check the bush there. And the fight that ensues, Arya does a good job of trying to knock down Art, and he buys enough space finishing off Hachimecha there, but that's not the targets you need to be worried about, as Art and Cogcog are the last two remaining carries on the side of Rascal Jester. As Art gets split off a little bit, he flashes forward to try and get a little bit of aggression onto Gango. Cogcog has a lot of invincibility to stall out, and Gango just barely lives through Ocean Soul. Even after Nagi flashes forward with the Dredge line, we'll have to hold that thought, as we're right back to the Baron action. CGA are looking to force them in. They have a vision of this pit, so they know the HP tabs on this Baron. While Nap is in a great position to throw down an ultimate here. Nagi's doing his best to keep the lines preoccupied with that depth charge. Nap is in the middle of everyone. The Stone Plate is going to buy him a decent amount of time, but Gango's going to be the first one to open kill up here. Pink is going all in. He just found a great combo onto Ashe, and that might be Rascal Jester finding CGA routed. Most of their damage is already down. They do have Ocean Soul to keep them alive for a decent while, but they have a full HP Kale to worry about, as they're going to find it onto him. He's going to be forced into Zanyas. No ultimate to save him this time, as CGA have found their fight. CGA, no Ashe necessary. Did Crest Gaming Act just find a way to end this one? This is the most even a gold lead has ever been at 42 minutes. CGA are going to possibly look to end this game. That's 20 seconds before Art is able to respawn. But you don't have an AD carry that does most of the damage to these objectives. Grendel's gonna get hooked up here, but the target is the Nexus. CGA are looking to put a nail in this one as soon as possible. Art is slowly going to be able to respawn here, as Nagi is just trying to see if he can stall up any members and keep minions away, but CGA should just be able to knock this one down. It's a little bit of a scramble, as the Nexus is falling slowly. They don't think they'll be able to get this one done, as CGA are going to be able to pull this one out. My blood is pumping from this kind of a game. To the bitter end, CGA hold on, and Rascal Jester, you can't even be mad at a loss like that. It went to the bitter end. But CGA were able to come out on top. We'll watch the final fight back one last time, and really, this came down to Pink found a good engage on, or a good moment onto Gango, where he was able to shred him down. But what it cost them in order to finish him off, and how much time they spent just beating up on Nap, was really the difference maker. Where Arya got around here, and then once he found Art by himself, he says, I have Ocean Soul. I am totally happy to be obliterating it. if you're asking me for an MVP, I'm giving my vote over to Art because no other member of Rascal Jester lived as long and did as much, it felt, as Art did to really hold themselves in this game. Whew. If you needed your 4 a.m. wake-up call, Rascal Jester and CGA have just delivered that to you. We're going to be taking a brief break before the next game pops up here. Thank you all for tuning in. Going to be taking the time off here. Thank you all for tuning in. Going to be taking a brief break before we go into our game of Axis versus DFM.
中盤、スノーボールゴールド集めきって、これはいけるかと思ったんですが、やはりちょっとドラゴンを渡す判断ができなかったところがもったいなかったですかね。3スタック目ですか。はい、あそこを渡して、トップファームといったところの判断ができていれば、もっと楽にラスカージェスは戦えていたのかなという感じがしましたね。少しそのあたりで、無理に戦いに行ってしまったところもありましたよね。そこでゴールドの差をあまり広げられずというところでしたが。これでもクレストゲーミングアクトとしては、1位、V3 スポーツ今走ってますけれども、それを追う形で今います。この勝利というのは大きそうですね。そうですね、かなり大きいと思いますね。ただやっぱりはちゃめ選手が今回エリスというメタ外のピック、そして序盤からあれだけボットにステイするという、異様なプレッシャーをかけられた中でもしっかりとボットレーンが我慢できた、そしてそこを警戒しきったといったところは本当に見事でしたから、その序盤の手堅さみたいなものが徐々にこう出てきてますよね。そうですよね。なんか新たなクレストゲーミングアクトの強さというところも再認識させられた試合となり